A good friend of mine contacted me letting me know they had some free equipment for me. There's just one small problem. They're located about 120 miles from me. That means if we want to get all that free equipment, a very long drive will be needed. But now that we're home, we can look at the first of those items and, well, you can't get any more basic than this. Now we can't complain too much, at least not until we try and start it. So in today's video, we're going to be looking at this very simple lawnmower from Yard Machines. And the problem is that we just got it home and aren't sure what's wrong with it, but there's a very good chance that it won't start. So how can we be sure that's the problem here? Well, think about it. Who would give away a mower that works? Now, it has happened to me before, and I'm very happy when it does because it means less work for me, but it is quite rare. To be honest, I would really like it if this one did start and run without any work because this machine is not worth all that much in my area. The other reason why is that after our inspection, come to find out there are a couple of parts that will need replacing. And the last thing we want to do is replace $100 worth of parts on a machine that's worth about the same amount. Now, don't get me wrong, I would gladly break even if it meant that we didn't lose any money on a project. But the goal is to make some money while doing these projects, so I would like to make a profit on this one too. So the first thing we need to do after recording all the information from the stickers is to check the all-important oil level and also inspect its condition. Just remember that to check the oil level, we need to wipe the dipstick first and then sample it. And surprisingly, there's just enough oil in the engine and it's not all that dirty either. However, we still need to do an oil change at some point. It also turns out there's still some gasoline in the fuel tank, which, believe it or not, could be a bad thing since overexposure of gasoline is a real thing. So the air filter isn't in terrible shape, but it could use a good cleaning. However, it is in good enough shape for a test start. And as you might have guessed, this engine refuses to start. Now it could be something fuel related causing this problem, and to find out, we'll just add fuel to the carb instead. Well, the good news is that the engine started and ran, which means we have a good ignition system and the engine is not worn out. But the bad news is that we need to figure out what part failed in the fuel system, which is not going to be fun. The easiest item to check for this starting problem is the condition of the gasoline. As time goes by, gasoline will lose its punch. That means stale gasoline might still be usable, however, getting it to start on its own might be a tall order. So this is the gasoline that was collected from the fuel tank, and I'm happy to say that there was no water in it. However, by the color of the gasoline, it's pretty easy to see just how stale it was, but we could still have a problem with the carb. The reason I say that is because this fuel isn't that bad, and after we primed the carb with our own fuel, it should have been able to stay running, but it didn't. Now there could still be some water in the fuel that made it to the carb, which we'll have to check for. But more than likely, the main fuel jet is partially or completely clogged, causing our no starting problem. After taking off the air filter base is when we notice the emissions hose, which is supposed to connect to the port on the back. So don't forget to connect it back up when we put the base back on, otherwise your engine could be damaged by dirty air. Besides the emissions hose, we also see the carb, and I'm choosing not to take it off, and instead we'll just open it while it's still in place. Now taking this shortcut is going to be very risky, and that's because we're only going to be focusing on the main jet, which will make it a lot harder to inspect the rest of the carb. But to get access to the inside of the carb, we'll need to take off these tiny screws and then pry the bowl free of the carb. So I'm not going to sugarcoat this, but this is not going to be easy unless you have some special tools to help out. Otherwise, you'll just have to take it nice and slow because trying to rush this process will make it more frustrating for you. And once both screws have been taken off the carb, we just need to carefully separate the bowl from the rest of the carb. I'm sure there's a special tool that's supposed to make this much easier to do, but I don't think you need it. The other reason why I'm trying to be careful is because I want to see what's inside the carb. So we did lose a couple of ounces, but we still kept the majority of it in the bowl. And with the fuel bowl gone, there will be some remaining fuel dripping from that carb, so be ready to clean it up, otherwise the fuel could damage your paint. So here's the bowl for the carb, and its job is to hold the gasoline being used while working the float. And if water makes it here, the carb will try and send it out to the engine, so we better check what's in it. And one way to check it, at least for the camera, is to pour it into a glass jar. And what we see is no water, and it's the same stale gasoline that was in the rest of the fuel system. There was a piece of debris in there too, however, it wasn't inside the carb and was probably from the outside of the bowl. So here's the most important part, and that is making sure the main fuel jet is clear, which is kind of tough to do. Now you can use a piece of wire to do that, and there's nothing wrong with that method. However, it is rather hard to see how clear it is, and it would be best to remove the white cartridge and take it apart for a good cleaning. Keep this in mind, the more you take off means the more stuff you have to make sure it goes back in the correct way. Otherwise, if it's not just right, that part might not work like it should and might cause more problems. Now the first wire was very thin, so I did change it to the next size up, and the moment we did, you can see fuel dripping from the carb. That means, even though we pushed through that opening with the smaller wire, it wasn't clear enough for the trapped fuel to be released. So if you can, make sure to clean the opening in the jet the best you can, otherwise it might not be enough. Now the best way of doing this shortcut is to pry the cartridge loose and then take it apart and clean every opening you find. You can of course just replace it, but to be honest, you'd only be saving yourself a tiny amount of work, all while paying a premium for it. And besides, taking it out makes it 10 times easier to clean, especially the openings you wouldn't normally get to see. Don't be fooled, every opening has a purpose, so we need to make sure they're all clear. Now don't be surprised if you find something that should have an opening in it, but the design has it blocked off instead. So the cartridge is designed as two parts, and it's a good idea to take it apart, but only if you think it needs it. But if you take the carb apart and find the inside to be fairly clean and the main fuel jet is only partially clogged, then you might only need to open the jet as much as possible and not needing to take out the cartridge. You'll have to make that choice, but it's almost better if you do, only so that you can clean the jet better. We should probably finish up these parts with a couple of shots from a can of carb cleaner, however compressed air works too. I know it's hard to tell, but this particular jet should be the pilot jet, and it's too small that most cleaning wires will not pass through it. And in this case, carb cleaner or compressed air would work best here. Now you could use a wire from a wire brush to pass through it if you don't have the other two options. And once we're satisfied with our cleaning, we'll then put the two pieces back together and get ready to install it into the carb. Now this is a shortcut, but the best method would have been to take out the carb from the engine for a full cleaning. But after seeing the condition of the fuel and the parts we did take off, I didn't think it was needed. So what would cause us to make us change our mind and do it the right way then? One reason would be if the fuel was in worse condition. That might have been a good reason to choose the other method. The other would have been the condition of the bowl, specifically the O-ring that seals it to the carb. If that had been damaged or swollen from ethanol fuel, that would have been a great reason to take the carb off the engine. The reason why is because if that O-ring was damaged, then the other seals might have been damaged as well. Those seals are not for show, they're meant to keep air and fuel from mixing, so they are kind of important. Also, make sure to face the bowl the correct way, but to be honest, it only fits one way. However, that won't stop someone from trying to install it the wrong way, so just watch out. And to make sure it fits, try seating the bowl into the carb completely by hand before installing the screws. But if the bowl will not seat itself, then try turning the bowl around and it should work then. But if for some reason you still can't get it to fit, then you might have to take the carb off the engine to make it easier. Now to save time and the hassle, I'll install these screws off camera because where I need to stand to make it easy is where the camera is at. Next, I'm going to take the blade off so we can inspect it, then sharpen it and balance it if we need to. Now the blade is not in terrible condition, however it's been abused quite a bit as seen by the damage to the cutting edge. Now keep in mind that this is just a piece of metal and having it hit wood branches or limbs will damage it and one day could make your investment worthless, so take care of it. So we're going to be using this extremely cheap yet very handy blade balancer to check it before we try sharpening it. Now doing it this way will let us know if we need to focus on one side more than the other side. Of course we'll be checking the balance after sharpening it too, but knowing this might save you some time. Now this doesn't always work, but it works well enough that I keep doing it this way. That's because if I see that it's slightly heavier on one end, I'll make twice as many passes on that one. And most times, after the second check, the blade will balance out better, maybe only needing a bit more fine-tuning. Now you don't need to buy a balancer like this one, you can always make your own using stuff around the house, but for only $6, it's hard to pass up. Next, we're going to install the air filter base, but it's also very important that we don't forget about that port on the backside for the emissions hose. If you do forget it, it's not the end of the world on this design because it uses a foam air filter. However, on the ones that use a paper air filter, that open port will allow unfiltered air to go straight into the engine, which is not good. And if you have it like that for hours of runtime, that engine won't last too long, so please connect that hose. So here's the air filter that came with the mower, and yes, we could clean it and make it look a whole lot better. But I just typically install a new one, mainly as a selling point in my ad, and you'd be surprised how well it works. But before we install it, I'm going to lightly spray it down with the lubricant so it'll be able to capture the finer particles of dirt. Of course, if you have a better option than using a spray lubricant, then be my guest and use what you think is best. I like using this method because it's convenient and very effective, but I would reapply it every year or so after cleaning it. But what if you didn't oil the foam filter? What would happen? Well, the foam would capture the larger particles, but the fine dust would make its way into the engine and eventually destroy the cylinder walls, not to mention the piston rings. So yes, this is very important to do. However, I can't make you do something you don't want to, only recommend it. Now, because we messed with the carb, we need to check and make sure it's not going to leak, otherwise your risk of a fire is very high. You don't need to fill the tank, a quarter tank will do, unless you like wasting your fuel, which isn't getting any cheaper these days. So the good news is that the engine starts and runs great, but the bad news is that we're nowhere near ready to sell it just yet. Besides our normal maintenance that we need to do to it, such as the oil change and the wheel service, there are some safety and convenience parts that we need to replace. This unfortunately happens more often than I like to acknowledge, but it is just part of the game. So my question is, would you try out this carb cleaning shortcut, or would you do it the right way instead? I don't mind a challenge, but I do like them easy sometimes. Thank you for watching. I really do appreciate your time here. Please feel free to ask me any questions about this project or about your own projects, and I hope to see you in the next video.